be sober to see the tricks that's going down to rob you of your future, black man and woman. Don't come to Illinois State trying to make a white university relevant to black people. That's wasting valuable time. Come here and extract the knowledge and then go back and use it to build your community, build your people, build for yourself. Don't you come out of here looking for a job. Come out with a mind to try and create a job. Do you hear me, brothers and sisters?
Hello, brothers and sisters. I really hope you're all doing fine from wherever you are watching me from now. Louis Farrakhan has been talking about the oppression that has been happening on black people in the US and across the world. He has been talking about how the black unity can save black people from all the troubles they are getting right now, and how the Western system was set to oppress, exploit, and damage the image of black people. So let's watch this video, then have a really quick discussion at the end of it. Thank you so much.
Is gonna veto the Civil Rights Bill at the same time that thousands upon thousands of black men and women sit in the Saudi Arabian desert to bleed their lifeblood out for some oil for Mr. Bush and the rich. I said, bring your sons back. Don't ever send your son to fight for this wicked enemy. This is why they don't like Farrakhan. It's not that Farrakhan is a teacher of race hate. It is not that Farrakhan is an anti-Semite or a bigot. It is that Farrakhan knows the truth. That same truth that Jesus said, you shall know, and that truth would make you free. But the difference between me and my brothers and sisters who know the truth and who quake and shake in fear to speak the truth. The scripture said, how can they know except they have a preacher? And how can they have a preacher except he be sent? The slave master's children are not going to send you a preacher to free you from them. Only God will send that kind of man. They are hot with me. But I have to tell the truth. Right now in Las Vegas, 103,000 black people live in Las Vegas. And 25,000 blacks live on the west side, predominantly black community. But 40% of the blacks in Las Vegas are unemployed. And 60% of the black youth from 16 to 25 are unemployed. Nobody cares if we have no jobs. We can't make a future for ourselves. Nature makes us gravitate toward the female and makes her gravitate toward us. We can't control that. That's nature. Nature makes us fall in love. We can't control that. That is God's doing. And when people say they love each other and come into close contact with each other, relationships begin, and from that comes the procreation of human life. We can't help that. But the sad thing is that even though we are driven by nature's law to meet and love and cohabit one with another and to produce new human life, we don't have have the wherewithal mentally, nor the education necessary, nor the jobs available to allow us as black men to take care of what we bring into the world. So the black man is under an extraordinary amount of stress. We are dying from stress and stroke, high blood pressure. We are so filled with confusion and doubt of self that we become drunkards, and nobody closes the liquor stores in our community. They proliferate, so we are steadily drunk, dying because we're drowning our sorrows in alcohol, dying because we're drowning our sorrows in reefer, dying because we're drowning our sorrows in crack cocaine, dying because we do not know who we are, what our capacity is, what our gifts are, the opportunities, even if white folk don't make them for us, that there is the possibility of our creating opportunity for ourselves if leadership would show us the way. But the same government that sends our sons and daughters to die, that same government plans and plots against our leadership. You know, the head of the sperm carries the potential development of that human being. The tail of the sperm gives it mobility, so that when it is cast into the hostile environment of the vaginal tract, that sperm may be able to swim toward the egg, that it may start life. God allows the sperm to meet with ovum in a dark place, and the first cell of life is created. And when that cell of life is created, a tiny drop of blood is formed, and it begins to spin in the darkness of the womb, even as the planets spin in submission to the light of the sun. As that tiny drop of blood begins to rotate in the darkness of the womb, because in the darkness of the womb and in the cell at the nucleus, there is the presence of light, letting us know that no matter how dark the situation is, there's always light in the darkness. If we would not despair and give up hope that there is light there, if you can find the light and bring light up out of darkness. When the cells begin to multiply, the first thing that is formed is the head. Because until the head is formed, the arms and the legs cannot be called into existence. So the first thing that forms in the darkness of the womb is the head, and it is the head that calls the other members of the body into existence. And so it is that you are born with a head to see for the body, hear for the body, smell for the body, chew for the body, speak for the body, think for the body. And the body is grateful when you got a good head on your body. So it is with a people. It is God who gives you this head. It is God who gives the sperm its head. It is God who gives to people their leadership, true leadership. Are you listening?
Yes, sir.
Now, I want to make a point. If an enemy wants to keep you from developing as a people, they must keep true leadership from you. Once the true leader is born, he calls into existence the arms and the legs. He organizes his people, and they become a people. And this is why in the book called Genesis, excuse me, I'm getting excited. In the book called Genesis, which is called one of the first of the 5 books of Moses. Why would you call it one of the first books of Moses when Moses wasn't around in the Genesis? But Moses was talking to people about the Genesis. Listen good now. Moses was dealing with an enslaved people, and he was telling them, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, but the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, and God said, let there be light. And there was light. Why, Moses, would you start off with the Genesis with your people? Because no people that are not free have begun yet. You do not begin your journey to life enslaved. You begin it when you become free. And in the word Genesis is the word genes. Gene. And in the genes is the coding of the human being. Its sickness, its health, its wealth is locked up in the genes. God is saying to Moses, and through Moses to an enslaved people, look, slave, in the beginning God created heaven and earth. That as you have a heaven above and an earth beneath, you have a relationship between heaven and earth. Otherwise, nothing can be produced without that relationship. It is the sun and the moon that draw the water up from the surface of the earth. Without the sun and the moon, the waters could not be drawn up into the earth's rotation, which is called gravitation, in a fine mist that the naked eye can hardly detect, forming what you call clouds. And when winds blow the clouds, they come over a dry, dead earth. And when the cloud is filled with water heavier than gravitation, the cloud distills the water back to the earth, and the water from the cloud touches the seed in the earth, and the sunlight strikes the earth, germinating the seed in the earth, and then the seed swells and bursts, sending a root down and then a shoot up. But if heaven didn't work together with earth, we could never have come up out of the earth. We could never feed our bodies to stay alive on the earth. But it is heaven and earth working together that produces what we call the quality of life. Everybody all right? Just bear with me. So as God created heaven, sun, moon, stars, planets, earth, and established a relationship between the two, God creates man with a heaven part and an earth part. But the heaven must work together with the earth to produce the same kind of effect. What must be in the brain of the human being is what the sun represents. You got to have a mind lit with the light of truth, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Then the body working together with the light of the sun is the heaven. Working with the earth because the body comes from the earth. The bones are from the earth. The blood is from the water of the earth. But the brain cell can contain the light of knowledge. And when those two work together, the human being can grow up from the earth to become a reflection of God Himself. Are you listening? Don't go to sleep, brothers and sisters. This is not too heavy for Las Vegas. It's not Baccarat. It's not blackjack. This is going to get right home to you in just a minute.
Take your time.
You sure do. We will, sister. Just be patient. We're working on that problem right now. Sister said we got an inferiority complex. Got a lot of Uncle Tom mentality. She said, help us get rid of that. I told her we're working on that problem right now. Working on it right now, my sister. Now look at what the scripture says. The earth was without form and void. Why are you telling us that, Moses? A slave people who don't have enlightened leadership are without form and voided. But until God's Spirit moves on the face of the waters, meaning when God's Spirit comes among the people, He will raise one up from the people as He drew Moses up out of water. He's making a leader for slaves. You're not going to be nothing in this world until a leader comes up. Not any leader made by your enemy, but a leader born of the Spirit of God. Are you understanding me? Now look, I'm not going to keep you here too long. But what I'm saying to you, Las Vegas, is that every time we produced a leader that could pull us together, the same government that sends our boys and girls to die plotted to kill our leaders. That's what I'm saying to you. This is not your friend that you're fighting and dying for. This is your worst enemy that you're fighting and dying for. And don't get scared. Listen, I don't want none of the leaders to get frightened, because I'm doing the talking, brother. You can tell them you didn't know what I was going to say. But I'm going to prove my point, Reverend. I'm going to prove my point, Reverend. Because I don't want you to doubt me. And I know you don't. You don't doubt me at all, but you may be a little afraid. But I want you to challenge your fear. Because the scripture says the fearful and the unbelieving will have their part in the lake that burns with fire. We've come too far along the road to be afraid today. Because if God is for us, who can be against us? So look, bear with me now. You know Nat Turner was a leader that came from us. Denmark Vesey was a leader that came from us. Booker T and W.E.B. Du Bois were leaders that came from us. Come on. Marcus Garvey was a leader that came from us. But every time we had a strong leader, the government caused us to kill him or they killed him themselves. Come on. Am I telling the truth or what? In our modern era, when Rosa Parks sat down, Martin Luther King stood up, and he died at 39 from an assassin's bullet. Not because King was a bad man, but because King was preaching against America's involvement in the war in Vietnam. So King was assassinated, and now they name streets for him. You don't need streets and alleys and boulevard. You need Dr. King. You don't need Malcolm X Boulevard. You need Malcolm X. We don't need Whitney Young Boulevard. We need Whitney Young. We don't need our leaders to have alleys and boulevards and streets named after them. We want America to get the hell out of the way and leave our leaders alone and let them live. So by killing our leaders, before our leaders could really do the job that God called them to do, we became a people void, never developed. We got hands, but they don't work for us. They're not coordinated. You got white head on black body. So your hands build for your enemy and you fight for your enemy, but you don't know how to defend and build for yourself. What happened to your head? When somebody gets hit in the head and they get paralysis, their hands don't work for them. Their feet don't work for them. You call the brother handicapped. Well, that's us, brother. We are handicapped. Our hands don't build no factories. We build no schools. We build no hospitals. We don't enter into international trade and commerce like a living people, because every time you get the right kind of leader, they kill him or they talk about him like a dog and make us kill him. And that's why the press calls me anti-Semite, hater, bigot, because they know that you are taught to love. You are taught that God is love. And if I am a hater, then I have to be either the devil or of the devil. Come on. So when they drop that word out on you about me, you say, I'm not going near that man. He's a hater. He's a hater. Let me ask you a question. Since some of you just met me, who taught you to hate yourself? I wasn't around then. Who taught you not to love your own origin in the world? I didn't do that. Come on. Who gave you that sick mentality that makes you think you're inferior because you are black and only something light, bright, near white, or white is of any value? Who gave you that sick mind?
Hello, brothers and sisters. I really hope you're all doing fine from wherever you are watching me from. Now, this video of Louis Farrakhan is not latest, He talked about these things 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. You know, like they are not that recent, but the prophecies of whatever he was talking about still lives up to date. So do not rant, please, because of the time. I'm just sharing because the prophecy of whatever he was talking about is as if everything is passing at the moment. Now, Louis Farrakhan is a well-known figure in the United States of America and across the world. He's the leader of the Nation of Islam, and he has been talking about things that we might feel hurt, but things that we should hear. Not because we love that, but because it is the truth. If you are a Christian enough, or if you are religious enough, you all know that the truth saves man free. And it is the truth that brings the reality into our thinking and expounds on how we see things. Now, Louis Farrakhan has been talking about the slavery and the historical justices that were actually committed to black community. Now, he has been frequently addressing these matters until he got old, and he was talking about the Atlantic slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade. He was talking about how black people had to endure oppression in the land of slavery, where they were brought in. They had no one there, and they had to go all through this themselves. Now, this did have a psychological effect on them, and it brought economic and cultural impacts. Both were negative. You actually know that. And black people had to go through a lot of atrocities, and they still go through them up to date. You can actually confirm it to me right now that things that Louis Farrakhan was talking about, the historical injustices, that black people were facing back 20 years back, 30 years back, are still happening to date, and black people are still suffering from the legacy of slavery. And that's the truth, including the general poverty, trauma, and social marginalization, that you are not accepted because you belong to a given culture, or you are not accepted because you hold different opinion. You are not accepted just because of your race, Such things still happen to date. And you and me are witnesses of these things that are happening. Look at the internet. Look at the reality on the ground. And all this other stuff just shows how true Louis Farrakhan was at that time. And we need to be talking about these things because we forget things so easily, and we tend to move on so fast, in that the things that we forgot and the things that we left unattended to come to haunt us later, And if we really want to make things work for ourselves and for our people, we must remember where we're coming from and where we're hiding to. Louis Farrakhan also has been talking about the white supremacy and the systematic racism that has existed in the United States and so many other places in the Western countries, in Europe and many other places. He was talking about this because they're happening. Things that were happening by then, Let's start by talking about Malcolm X. Let's start by talking about Martin Luther King and Marcus Garvey. What did they commit in that they had to be eliminated by that time, and just being an activist and saying the truth and saying that we should be given same rights because we are human beings and we work equally to contribute to the economy of this country. That was a crime enough to serve as a treason for them, and they were eliminated in a very brutal way, and just because of the truth and whatever they stood for. And I love when Louis Farrakhan often critiques institutions that he believes have been so biased against and been acting against the wills of black people. Now, he has been talking about the white supremacy, the whole race card being played around, to benefit some individuals and others to suffer. So crazy. We do not want to see a world where these things still exist. Now, he has been talking about the systematic racism that is happening in the media, in the government, education, and in the economic and cultural structures, and there is need for us to still talk about this because these are the things that embeds us, and these are the things that will bring unity to us. These are the things that bring oneness, and if they continue happening, the things that bring oneness continue happening in that they are being someone is trying to act opaque and someone is trying to hide or is trying to be biased, then the division comes in, hatred comes in. And if education is whatever unites us, and if the media is whatever should be uniting us, the government is something that should be uniting us, the economy is whatever should be uniting the people, then if there are any injustices, if there are any kind of racism in them, then this brings division and divides the masses, and some people will feel not included, or inclusivity will be another thing to be talked about. There is need for us to remember that these things are still happening to date. Louis Farrakhan talked about them some years back, but don't we still see them happening today? Of course we do. And what really should we be doing then? Now, this actually shifts me to the topic of reparations. If actually the US government has been admitting, and sometimes it denies that these things are not happening, sometimes it admits and it says they happen throughout the races. They say even the white people or the white Americans are being I'm finding the right word to put here, like they are not being treated right, that some people are biased even on the white majority. And the question is, can someone who is oppressed oppress the oppressor? Like you are the one being oppressed, the black community is oppressed. Can they change the oppression back to the oppressor? That has been always my question. And if that's not the case then, or if that's the case then, if the government admits that this is happening, and the government then should duly come out and apologize to the black community for all the things that have been happening, from the killings or the brutal they were taken out. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, they should come out and apologize for all these things that happened. For all the people that were in the struggle to make America great by serving its people with equal chances or equal opportunities or with equal rights, if these people were unalived in a very brutal way, then the government should acknowledge that. And the government, in fact, should pay reparation to the black community for having worked out for years without being paid. Their parents, their grandfathers died working for these systems that never appreciated and never paid them. Black people built the US, built the European nations without compensation. Now, this is the time the US government, if at all, it is very, very, the US government is very concerned by these matters, then it should come out and pay reparations. I've asked myself, Obama was there, who was a black president, but he never did that for the black community. Why was that, Kamala Harris has been there, the vice president, the immediate former vice president of the US, but she never initiated this. In fact, she had a very controversial stand on this, And we actually asking ourselves then, who is going to stand for the black people? Who is going to stand for the black community? If all those who have been voted in by the voters, by the black voters, to make sure that they have a voice in the government, that they have someone who is there looking after their interest, but then they go and they never talk about anything that concerns the black people, And reparations are just, as a matter of fact, a must, a must. And economic empowerment is a must. And let me talk this to our brothers and sisters, both in Africa and in the diaspora, that economic empowerment, no one is going to empower you economically. No one is going to look to call you from nowhere to give you a job. That we must rise by ourselves, and we must empower ourselves. Empower your brother, empower your sister, and make sure that your parents are empowered. Do not leave your parents to be janitors, while you enjoy some good money and all that. If you get opportunities, try to connect your brothers and sisters. Your brothers and sisters are not just the people you are born with. You qualify to be my brother and sister if you stand with me in my very difficult situation, That's whatever brotherhood means. Not just being there or being born together, We must empower ourselves, and we must bring justice to ourselves. We must fight for ourselves. I do not mean you people take guns. No, I mean we must advocate for whatever is good for us. And the police brutality and the injustices in the judicial systems should be addressed ASAP. Our people are suffering, and we need to bring this suffering to an end. A lot can be said about the crazy things, about the prophecies of Louis Farrakhan that he talked about some years back. I'm not a fan, or I do not idolize people. So do not say that I'm idolizing Louis Farrakhan, but I always share whatever is right, if you like it or not, because whatever is right is whatever keeps you free. Whatever brings truth is whatever brings salvation, And freedom is way much bigger than you thought. And without the truth, there is no freedom. Freedom of mind, The way you think, the way your reasons must come, just as a matter of being told the truth. So, brothers and sisters, this is whatever has been happening, and the criticism of the U.S. foreign policies must actually be discussed as well, because we've seen the interference of the U.S. with the African continent, with many African countries, and the destabilization of these countries in the name of bringing justice or democracy. What democracy? What democracy? I ask again, what kind of democracy is bringing your military and exploiting the mineral resources in Africa? Thank you so much for having taken the time to watch this video. Brothers and sisters, I feel like we could have talked about this topic, and I can keep on talking about this topic, but I have some fever right now, and I need to take my medication. Thank you so much, and have a good day ahead of you.